Hi there, amazing warrior. Welcome back to the Alliyah show. In today's episode, I want to talk to you about why I think it is super important that we don't go around airing our business in public and talking about what it is that we're trying to transform about ourselves, because the results will speak volumes. So, if you want to hear more about my opinions and theories on this, stay tuned and let's get into the episode. Why do I believe it's important to not go around telling people what it is that I'm trying to achieve, or the transformations I'm trying to bring about, or the goals that I'm setting? Why do I feel it's important that I keep these things secret and close to my heart? Well, I don't believe that you need to keep them completely secret. What I do believe is that you don't need to tell everybody your business. So you don't really need to be posting about it on social media. You can actually just tell the people that are closest to you, that are your supporters, your cheerleaders, your soundboards. You don't need to tell the whole world. You don't need to tell the extended network. You certainly don't need to tell people that you are no longer in contact with. But by putting things out on social media, what we're potentially doing is opening it up to everyone to interpret the way they see fit, and often feel that they are able to comment on what it is that you're trying to do, and often bring down your vibe and bring down your motivation. And this is because when you're trying to do amazing things, those that are actually not trying to do amazing things can start to feel a tinge of jealousy and a tinge of, ugh, why can't I do that? And all sorts of other emotional feelings that they're going through. And that reflects on the way they are with you. So if you're trying to, for example, move on from a relationship, you are actively changing the way you date, or actively looking at different types of people to date from your prior exes that obviously didn't work with, then if you're actually talking about that openly on social media, suddenly what you're doing is the negative Nancy's that you know are going to start making comments on, but you can't do that. You're attracted to a certain type. And on an off day, that will be something that could trigger you into thinking, actually, that's quite true, isn't it? Negative Nancy's right. I only attract a certain type of man. I only attract certain type of negativity. I only attract the deadbeats, blah, blah, blah. And suddenly you've gone from setting the intention of, right, I know what I'm worth, I know what type of spouse I want to attract, to going back onto that hamster wheel of negativity and falling back into old patterns because negative Nancy commented on your status. It's not needed. I'm a firm believer that all of our business does not need to be on social media. I'm also a firm believer that not all of your extension network needs to know everything that you're up to. Why should they know everything? Is it important? Are they going to be involved in any of the processes? Do they really need to know everything? Also, from my own personal experience, when I've been working on things and I've changed, say, for example, the plan, people that were aware of the actual plan that I originally had have come back and said, oh, didn't it work out? Oh, I always thought that. And then suddenly it opens up another Pandora's box of, wait a second, you doubted me? You didn't think I'd be able to achieve it? Wow. And then that starts to shed a different light completely on your friends and your families and your social networks, etc., etc. So based on my own experience in the past, I am now a firm believer in only sharing my plans with those that are closest to me. And believe me, there's not many people in that actual close inner circle. I'll tell them everything because I know they understand my processes, they understand my journey, they understand why I'm doing what I do. And I often go to them for advice, or I'll go to them because I need a soundboard, but they are there because they're the concrete pillars in my life. So they will know everything. Do I post about everything openly, on my social media? No, because even though I do have people in my life that are on my social media, not every single one of them is worthy of knowing everything that I'm going through. And I don't mean that in any disrespectful way. It's just there's certain connections that I'll have that I may not necessarily want to share everything with. Why? Various different reasons. Sometimes you can have friends that are amazing to go to talk about general stuff and things like that. But when it comes to being supportive and open to your mission and your aim and your purpose in life, they may not be in the right place in their own brains to be able to support you. And then if that's the case, then yeah, they're a fantastic friend. Just don't go there for that support. Understand that not everyone is going to have the same purpose in your life. Not everyone needs to know the same information. And certainly don't go around broadcasting anything that you wish to bring about in your life and manifest publicly, openly, on like a public status, and then wonder why the heck people are, joking about things, or why people are poking fun at you, or why the negative Nancy's that you went to primary school with, nursery with, school with 30 years later are still, trying to make fun of you. Because when you put something up on a public platform, people feel they have the right to make comment and sit there and be judge and jury. And this is up and down the country, around the world. People feel that they are able to do so. They feel that they have the right to do so because you put it up on social media. You put it up on a public platform. You have opened yourself up for that criticism. And like I said, that brings about a whole load of negative energy into your life. Negative Nancy start up. Former in-laws will have their, 2p worth to give. Everybody gets involved, and suddenly you've gone from feeling amazing about what it is that you're trying to bring into your life or what you're trying to change, about the transformation process, to suddenly feeling like you're back on square one again, or you're back at that place where you were when you were trying to clamber up and actually be able to make changes in your life. In my close network, I've got about 5 to 6 people that pretty much know everything that I'm up to, and I keep them in the loop. Not basically by phoning them and telling them everything, but I'll send them messages. They'll get a message from me saying, hey, I'm up to this. This is what I'm doing. This is how far I am. I do send them messages as well to thank them for the support, because the support that they give me is priceless. I'll keep them in the loop as and when needed. I won't be going around literally phoning them 24/7 or phoning them at like 1 a.m. in the morning when I've come up with a new plan for something. That isn't how it works. You can keep people in the loop discreetly. You can keep people in the loop in a way that suits you and them. And you can also keep people out of the loop in a way that suits you. Now, if you're, for example, a Facebook user, then you can also come up with things like setting boundaries within your actual settings. For example, not everybody needs to see your statuses. You can actually exclude people from actually seeing your statuses. If you're on Instagram, for example, do you really need a public actual profile? Can you get away with having a private one? There's all these different things that you need to consider. And I do believe that you need to keep your private life private. I'm not a firm one of those type of people that will go around broadcasting what's going on in my private life, especially when it comes to relationships, because again, I think too many cooks literally spoil the broth type of situation. So I don't do it, and I encourage anybody who is trying to rebuild their life, for example, not to go around talking about their new relationships, because believe me, the amount of critics and cynics you're going to come across, you're going to wonder how on earth this actually happened. Everybody's got an opinion. Now, when I got divorced all those years ago, and I mentioned that I was open to another relationship, suddenly it was like, what do you mean you're open to another relationship? You've got 2 daughters. You can't do that. We're Asian. We don't do that. Oh, no, you can't do that. The stepdad might be this, that, and the other. Oh, my God, you can't do that. And it was horrendous. It was horrendous because I was looking at it from a spiritual point of view, and also by my religious rights, which is I have a right to remarry, should I wish to. And I had people pushing culture down my throat, the same culture that I suppose got me into that, situation in the first place. And it was like, will you just stop? Will you just back off? I don't need this. And then I realised that it's because I shared the information with the wrong people that this was happening. And I had to be very selective over who I would be sharing information with. Does such and such need to know this? And usually you can tell straight away who those people are that are going to be supporting you, because you know what their attitude is towards things, you know what type of opinions they have, you know their thought processes, and that usually helps you to figure out whether or not you should be sharing any information with them. Now, I have some people that I care dearly about, but would I go to them and tell them if I found someone new to remarry? No, because again, I'd be facing the whole, oh my God, you've got 2 daughters, you can't do that. No man's going to take on children without there being a catch. Well, I don't know. I mean, personally speaking, I think I'm, a brilliant person, and I'm an absolute catch. That you're not really going to find anyone better than me. But that's my own opinion on me. However, obviously, those that are in my circle see other things, they see me differently, and that's absolutely fine. They're entitled to an opinion. But to me, not every man out there is the same as my ex, and that's something that I've come to find over the years, that If you're on a low vibrational level and you're constantly churning over what's happened in the past, then you are literally staying on that actual stretch of road and you're going at the same speed and you're going with the same vibe and you're potentially bringing in the same type of people over and over and over again. My new approach, which happened through my transformation, is I fully accept what happened. I got taught a lot of lessons along that way. I am worthy of much better connections and much better relationships and being in a healthy, happy, content relationship and environment. I'm worthy of being with a person that treats me with respect. All of that has taken me off that path that I was previously on and onto a different one. When you're coming about with transformational ideas, where you want to change in your life, what type of things you know you need to change so you're able to live your best life, you are going to find a lot of people do become quite resilient in their thought processes towards you and will try and push their opinions down your throat. And you're going to have to be strong enough to either say, no, I know what it is that I need to do, I'm going to take my own path, or option 2, which is be selective of who you share your information with, which I believe is the best way forward. We've all seen those quotes, haven't we, of let your success do the talking. Absolutely. If you're on a path of transformation, let people see how much you've transformed and let that be the giveaway to your actual process, the work that you've put in and everything else in between. Let that talk. You don't need to tell anybody anything. You could just let your success tell them. And I honestly believe that is one of the best ways. It's a quote that I see over and over and over again. And I'll admit, at the beginning of my actual journey, it was a quote I looked at and thought to myself, really? Is that even possible? Yes, it is. Because all these years later, I'm at a stage where I can actually say, well, you know, my divorce happened. I went through everything that I went through. There was a reason. There was a purpose. I'm moving on. I don't need to hold a grudge against that situation. I don't need to relive that moment day in, day out. I'm human. Of course, the past occasionally comes up. It's very, very difficult for it not to come up, because if it wasn't for the past, I wouldn't be in the present. So it does happen. But do I need to punish myself on repeat because of some things that I did when I was younger? Absolutely not. Do I need to constantly punish myself because I actually stayed in a situation which I knew I shouldn't be in and I should have walked away? No. We all do things, we all learn from things, and then we can take the cue from that and move on and actually better ourselves. But when it comes to sharing information on how you're going to better yourselves, I honestly do not think it's a good idea to be going around broadcasting it. Keep it to yourself. Tell those around you, tell your supporters, tell the biggest cheerleaders you've got. Yes. But don't tell those guys that drag you down. Now, this could be loved ones. This could even be your family, for example. Maybe those are the type that are like, oh, no, you can't do that. No, that isn't going to work. You can't do that. If that's the case, be selective of what information you share with them. Now, there is another angle that you can actually take with this whole why would Alliyah say this? And it's because sometimes when we come up with a plan and we're like, yes, this is what we want to do, we embark on the plan and suddenly halfway through we're thinking to ourselves, actually, I don't want to do this anymore, and we change plans, we modify, or we even quit it because it isn't actually serving any purpose. And you have the full right to do that. It's your life. But when you get people that are like negative Nancy's or I told you so's, or the I told you so auntie that lives down the road or Sakina down the road, they will literally bring all this up. So say, for example, you decided that you wanted to change careers and you've gone back to college and you started a new training course. Maybe you've gone to the training course and within a few months you realise that isn't the career for you and you've quit. Absolutely fine. You've tried it, you've analysed it, it isn't for you. Well done you for doing something new. Well done you for cutting your losses and moving on. However, say that happens and then 3.5 years later, you've actually found a career that you genuinely believe in and you just so happen to mention it to Sakina down the road again. Didn't you do that on the 14th of the 5th, 2017 at 14:07? Seriously, they keep information like that. They may not know what's going on in their own households or with their own family, for example, but they'll know your business and that's just how they work. So if you don't want your constant past being dragged up by a negative Nancy or a negative entity, because let's be honest, some of these women are just as bad as banshees, then keeping it private may be the best option. Just giving them little bits of information may be the best thing to do. Now, a funny story that I can share with you is I haven't really made public on a public platform local to me what it is that I actually do for work. So when I drop off my children at school, nobody really knows what I do. And I've chosen to do that because those that are around me and those people that are important to me do know, but the gossips on the playground don't really need to know. So I've heard various different versions of what it is that I actually do. And I can remember once delivering the confidence course at the YMCA and ending up having two women walk in to the actual room who recognised me from the playground. And one of them was like, "Aren't you so-and-so?" And I was like, "Yes." "Have you got children at such and such primary school?" "Yes." "Oh." I'm like, "Okay, what was the O for?" I didn't realise you worked and stuff. "I was told this by such and such a person." I was like, "Oh, wow." And then the other one chirps up and gives me another version of what she's heard about me, because I don't go around telling everybody what I do. I don't go around sharing my information because I don't need to. And people have interpreted my body language or the fact that I don't literally sort of broadcast my business day in, day out. They've actually come up with a version of me that is inaccurate. But that's absolutely fine. They're entitled to an opinion. It makes a difference to me. I'm not going to pay my bills with their opinions. But that is something that can happen. And if you do want to take on transformation seriously and you do want your results to do the talking for you, you don't want to tell people, then you may need to develop a slightly thick skin for when it comes to the gossips and the aunties within your communities who will want to talk about you, badmouth you, and so on and so forth. And if, God forbid, you're a brown woman and you're looking at remarrying and you've actually announced the fact that you've just got engaged and stuff like that, oh my goodness, good luck to you trying to make those aunties go quiet. Silence is not really in their vocab. So they're going to be going ahead and talking about you and talking about how you connected to this man and why is he marrying you and doesn't he understand that you're divorced and all these things that come into these negative Nancy aunties. And it's just a constant tidal wave of negativity. And having a thick skin definitely helps deal with that situation. And when you hear them gossip, you think to yourself, wow, you're a woman. How much more anti-woman can you get when you talk like that? And I can remember having a conversation with someone close to me after I got divorced, and she patted my knee and said to me, "It's okay now. Your main mission in life from God is to look after your children. You've experienced Kismet, so you've experienced what God had planned for you. You've experienced married life, and obviously it wasn't for you. And now your priority is your children. You don't have to worry." And I'm sitting there thinking, wow, this is quite intense. I'm being told now that this is my destiny and this is it. When on the inside, I knew I was meant to be doing other things. God had other plans for me at that time. I just couldn't really figure out exactly what the plan was. With each step I took, the plan unfolded. But it's amazing how that person shared their opinion and actually believed that that was exactly what I was going to do, because they'd share their opinion. They'd tell me what they thought God was trying to tell me, and that was it. Because of course they knew I'd got divorced and they felt they had a right to give their opinion. And that was from a loved one. And you do come across loved ones that have opinions that are quite restrictive. You come across Joe Public that has an opinion that's quite restrictive. One of the only ways you can restrict that impact in your life is to develop a thick skin. Remember what you're focusing on. Remember what your goals are. Remember what your transformational ideas are. Keep focus on what it is that you're trying to achieve. Remember that everyone is entitled to an opinion. Doesn't mean it has to impact you. Another way is to, of course, restrict how much information goes out onto a public platform and how much information goes to your friends or your family and your loved ones and so on and so forth. And be selective about what information you share about your transformation, about your journey, about what it is that you're trying to manifest into your life. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not being snidey. You're being clever. You're being smart. You're trying to get on the journey. You're trying to get on with your actual purpose in life without the drama. We don't need the drama. We're a drama-free zone around here. We don't need it, okay? Let's just be selective about what information we share out in public. Let's be selective about who we share our information with. And let's also develop a slightly thick skin in regards to certain people within our communities, our families, etc., who will feel that they know everything better than you and they can give you much more better advice and they can literally sway you in terms of what it is that you're trying to bring about in your life. Today's takeaway message for you in this episode is that be selective about what information you share. Be selective about where you share it. Be selective about who needs to hear the information, and kind of develop a thick skin for when people do want to share their opinion with you and tell you that they know everything better and that they haven't actually become old overnight, that they've lived life, because they have lived life. Yes, doesn't mean what they've experienced is what you're going to experience. Right, guys, we're going to wrap up this episode. As always, if you've liked what you've heard, please let other people know what it is that we're trying to achieve. The more people we can get in contact with, the more people we can connect with, the more people that follow us on Instagram, for example, the bigger the community, the more transformations we can spark, and the more amazingness we can bring into people's lives. And that is what we're about. We want people to live their best lives to their standards and be happy and content with everything that they actually do in their life. It's their life. We're only going to live it once, so let's do it to the best level. Let's do it to our own levels, and let's do it in a way that makes us happy. So until the next episode, guys, stay safe, and I'll speak to you then. Bye.